What's up, Barnhill family, and welcome back to the channel.
Yo.
So we just talked about an incredible matchup between Rafael Fiziev and Brad Riddell that's on the horizon, and the main event is just as good. We have José Aldo, sort of the old guard at 145, potentially the GOAT of 145, taking on a real up-and-coming talent in Rob Font at 135. This has got fight of the night potentially written on it as well. I don't know which one is going to be better than the other, but I'm expecting the co-main and the main to both be incredible.
Yeah, and both of these guys have fascinating stories just as far as current situation in the career, and I really love it. And I'll break it down very quickly. José Aldo has been to the top of the mountain. He hung out there for, 8 years or something
like that,
ridiculous, where he was literally the king of the division, the only featherweight champion until Conor McGregor came around. And after that, I can assume, and I've heard him say it even himself, that it was hard to find some motivation and reason for why am I still waking up at 6 in the morning, going for my run, going to 2 and 3 a day training. But he's able to do that. And not only do that, change his entire body and move down a weight class, which is generally something that's very difficult when you don't have any fat to lose or anything like that, which he didn't have at 145. He totally changed his lifestyle, dropped down, and said, you know what, I'm still hunting gold. I want to go become a champ in another division, and I think 135 is the way for me to go. I love that. And the fact that he's finding new ways to find motivation and exploring different avenues of training is something really cool. And even though José Aldo is such a legend and such an old school name for so many people, he's still a relatively young guy. Maybe not so young in the fight years, but he's still a young guy, and he has a lot left.
Yeah.
Right. That's ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
It seems like he's a mid-40s type of guy, but he fights like he's still in his 20s, and he still has potential like somebody who's climbing right up the ranks. And then the other side is Rob Font. The story around Rob Font is you might not know about him right now, and people that are just casuals might not know who Rob Font is. They saw him, whoa, he beat Cody Garbrandt. That's pretty impressive. He is basically that guy that's knocking down the door. And he's one of those fighters that's not going to be denied any longer, right?
Yep.
He's just like, I'm just going to keep beating these people. Look at the people I've beaten, and I'm going to add José Aldo to my list. And eventually, you guys are going to have to recognize that I'm the number one contender, and I deserve that belt. And I love the story behind both of these guys. I think this is an awesome fight for both of them. And the UFC matchmakers did it again because this is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, José Aldo comes from MMA. He comes from the source, right? He had Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai.
He's royalty.
He started it back in the day in Brazil. Rob Font has a bit of a different story. He was delivering a pizza to some people that had the UFC fight on, and he was like, hold on, what is this? Checked it out. Monday signed up at the gym and started training. So it's two completely different stories behind getting into the sport. And,
so cool.
Jose and Font are not that far off in age. I think Font may be 33 and Jose may be 35. They're like 2 or 3 years apart in age. But José Aldo has been somebody, even since we started getting into the sport, he was the name that a lot of people were talking about as being the best person doing it. And the fact that he's still doing it, and as you said, at a division that's 10 pounds lighter than he used to reign over, it's just incredible. Mm-hmm. Rob Font's boxing against Cody Garbrandt was an absolute masterpiece. I believe Rob Font's going to have the boxing advantage here, but I do believe José Aldo is better all around with striking. His Muay Thai is very crisp. José Aldo checks kicks with ease, and that's a very difficult thing to do if you've never timed the sensitivity of like checking a kick. That's one of the hardest skills to get down to where you can do it in real time. He also throws a lot of leg kicks. We've seen him chop people down. We talk about chopping the tree down. Mm-hmm. José Aldo does that better than almost anybody. His clinch game is very good. If he gets that tie plum on you, he can make you pay with some knees to the body and even to the face. So I think this fight is really going to come down to who can impose their game plan better. If José Aldo can start to chop those legs of Rob Font and then get in close and maybe cut him open with an elbow or two, you're going to see the fight start to favor Aldo. If Rob Font can keep Aldo at a jab's distance, because I believe the reach is a little bit longer there for Rob Font, and do what he did to Cody Garbrandt and just start to piece Aldo up, maybe black one of his eyes, maybe make his vision a little bit blurry, then it's going to start to favor Font. Mm-hmm. But I actually am leaning towards the King of Rio here. I think that José Aldo is going to win this fight. I think that man, he's just so incredible and he's so durable that I think he's going to be able to figure out the boxing puzzle that is Rob Font, and his toolbox just has a couple more tools in it that Rob's doesn't quite have at this point in his career. And so I'm going to pick Jose to win.
Yeah, and he's actually, like I said, adapting new things and always changing his game. He's evolving as a fighter, which is so awesome to see from a former champion. And he said that he decided he was going to start training with the Brazilian national boxing team and the Olympic boxers that come out of Brazil because he was just looking for a little bit of spice in his training regimen. And he knew he was training against Rob Font or fighting against Rob Font. So you better, sharpen your boxing up a bit if you're going to go with somebody like that. If he utilizes the right aspects of boxing, I'm talking about the defense and I'm talking about the range management and then crisping up his punches even a little bit more than he already has them, then he will really do well. If he tries to go in there and exclusively box with Rob Font, that's where the trouble comes in. I don't think that Jose Aldo is the kind of guy that will get, just totally roped into a boxing match with Rob Font. I think he understands this is still MMA, even though you guys have both really fallen in love with your hands. So utilize them as much as you can, but don't forget about your legs. Don't forget about digging to the body. Jose Aldo is one of the most powerful strikers we've seen. And when you see him drop down and just cut off maybe like a slip punch, a jab or a cross, and then he hits the body, it's a thing brutal. Of beauty. Not a lot of people can land crisp, uppercuts and hooks to the body in MMA because the range is so goofy and it's just hard. It's difficult. If you're going to hit the body, it's usually easier to do it with the legs. You send a kick up down the sides or send something, a push or a teep down the middle. But Jose Aldo is able to find it with his hands, and he usually is able to sit people down with pretty big body punches. So look for that. I think he's going to try to gas Rob Font out, and I think that he's going to try to carry this into later rounds. And that's why, at first I was going to go Jose Aldo because I just feel like he's got that experience. But I feel Rob Font might be able to finagle him into standing and striking with him and, abandoning the kicks, abandoning the Muay Thai, abandoning the MMA striking, and then late into the fight, it turns into a straight-up boxing match, which will be highly entertaining. But Rob Font, I just feel like maybe he'll be able to edge out, get like 2 or 3 rounds early, and then a round or 2 late, and that'll be enough for him to get the win over, obviously, like one of the biggest names the sport's ever seen, but probably the biggest name on his resume.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And I think it's going to go to decision as well. I think 3 rounds to 2 for Jose Aldo. Maybe even we see a split decision here. I think this is going to be a very good fight. But make no mistake, what your prediction of Rob Font absolutely could transpire. And if Jose has fallen in love with the pure boxing that he's training right now with the Brazilian national team, that could present some problems. But I just feel like when things start to go wrong, if they start to go wrong for a veteran like Jose Aldo, he will immediately revert back to what he knows best, and that's using all 8 limbs and the beautiful art of Muay Thai. Yep. And maybe we even see him shoot for a takedown if things start to go bad on the feet. I think that Jose Aldo has a massive advantage on the ground if he can get the fight there. So who knows, but I think this is going to be a great fight, but I do think it's going to go to decision. I think it's going to be a split decision, but I think Jose Aldo is going to win. Yeah,
and if there is a finish, it's going to come from Jose Aldo, in my opinion. I think he's got the power, and he's got the submissions, like you're saying. Also, boxers are really heavy on their front leg, and I know this is MMA, but Rob Font does tend to get a little bit heavy on his front leg. I'm guilty of it too. So many boxers and people that love, the boxing, the sweet science, tend to get heavy on their front leg, and that's a bad thing for a Muay Thai fighter to see because they'll start to chop it down and make you pay for it, and then you start to become immobile, and that's when Jose Aldo can really start to lay on you. But I'm going to stick with my prediction. Rob Font, he's the slight favorite. Not a fight you want to bet on, but this one's going to be a lot of fun for the folks.
That's for sure, and you definitely don't want to be heavy on that front leg with a kicker like Jose Aldo.
Definitely not.
Guys, thanks so much for watching this video. This is one of those ones. Nick and I are split, so settle the debate for us in the comments. And if you haven't already, guys, and you like to listen to audio podcasts, check out us on audio, the Barnhill Brothers, wherever you listen to podcasts. The audio version of this content is there as well. And until the next video, guys, have a wonderful day.
Peace.